Captain Maria Santos watched the stars through the bridge window of her ship. She had been doing this for 3 months now. The same stars, the same view, the same prison. Her ship was one of 12 human vessels floating at the edge of the solar system. They could not go forward. They could not go home. They were stuck. "Captain," called out her communications officer, "we're getting another message from the alien fleet." Maria turned away from the window. The alien fleet was massive. Hundreds of ships from 12 different species. They had been waiting here for almost a year now, waiting and watching. "Put it on the main screen," Maria said. The face that appeared was not human. It was made of what looked like blue crystal. The creature had no mouth, but somehow its voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel Defiance. You will return to your home planet immediately. Your species is not welcome among the stars." Maria stepped forward. "This is Captain Santos. We have the right to travel freely. We did nothing wrong." "Your species is too dangerous," the crystal being replied. "We have studied your history, war, violence, destruction. You cannot be trusted. We came in peace," Maria said. "We wanted to trade, to learn, to make friends. Your intentions do not matter. Your nature is what matters. Return to Earth or be destroyed." The screen went black. Maria's first officer, Commander James Park, shook his head. "Same message every day for 3 months. "And our answer is the same," Maria replied. "We don't go back." But the truth was harder than her words. Earth was running out of options. The alien blockade was not just stopping ships. It was stopping everything. No trade, no new resources, no hope of expansion. Maria remembered the day it all started. Humanity had just built its first faster-than-light ships. They were crude and slow compared to what other species had, but they worked. Earth sent out 12 ships to explore and make contact with other civilizations. The first alien ship they met was beautiful. It looked like it was made of silver and light. The beings inside were tall and graceful. They called themselves the Zephyr INS. At first, the meeting went well. The Zephyrians seemed curious about humans. They asked many questions about Earth's culture and history. They wanted to know about human art, music, and literature, but then they asked about human wars. Maria was on the first contact team. She remembered trying to explain that humans had moved beyond their violent past, that they had learned to work together, that they wanted peace. The Zephyrians listened politely. Then they asked for human historical records. Earth's government decided to be honest. They sent the complete history of humanity, every war, every conflict, every act of violence. They thought it would show how far humans had come. They were wrong, within a week, the Zephyrians had shared the information with other alien species. The reaction was immediate and unanimous. Humanity was too dangerous to be allowed into the galaxy. The blockade started small. Just a few ships asking human vessels to turn back. But when humans refused, more ships arrived, then more. Soon there were hundreds of alien vessels surrounding Earth's solar system. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Hegemony. 12 species working together to keep the peace. They had been at peace for over 1,000 years. They did not want humans to change that. Maria walked to the tactical station. Lieutenant Sarah Kim was studying the alien fleet formations. "Any changes?" Maria asked. 3 new ships arrived this morning," Sarah replied. "They look like the Nexari. Vessels, organic hull design. Probably more of their hive ships." The Nexari were the most alien of all the species in the blockade. They were a hive mind. Thousands of individual creatures that thought as one. They scared Maria more than the others because they had no individual will, no way to reason with them. "Captain," called the communications officer, "I'm getting a priority message from Earth. Put it through." The face of Admiral Chun appeared on the screen. She looked tired, more tired than Maria had ever seen her. "Captain Santos, how is your situation?" "The same, Admiral. We're holding position, but we can't move forward." "I understand. We have a new development here. The aliens have started interfering with our satellites. 3 of our communication networks are down. They're also blocking our deep space telescopes. Maria felt her stomach drop. They're tightening the blockade. It gets worse. They've started attacking our outer colonies. The mining station on Titan is gone. The research base on Europa is under siege. They want us completely contained to Earth. What are our orders? Admiral Chung was quiet for a long moment. For now, hold your position. We're working on a solution. What kind of solution? I can't say over this channel, but Maria ... Things are going to get much worse before they get better. The transmission ended. Maria looked around the bridge. Her crew was watching her. They needed her to be strong, to have answers, but she had none. Commander Park, she said, I want a full analysis of the alien fleet. Every ship, every weapon, every weakness. Captain, we've been doing that for months. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Their shields can stop anything we have. Their weapons can destroy our ships with a single shot. And then we find another way. Maria returned to the window. The alien fleet stretched across space like a wall of lights. Each light was a ship full of beings who saw humans as monsters, as a disease to be contained, but Maria knew something the aliens did not understand. Humans were not just violent. They were stubborn. They were clever. And when they were pushed into a corner, they became very dangerous. On Earth, the situation was getting worse every day. The planet's leaders met in emergency sessions. The military prepared for war. Scientists worked on new weapons and defenses, but everyone knew the truth. Humanity was outgunned and outnumbered. They had 12 ships against hundreds. They had crude weapons against advanced technology. They had one planet against 12 species. The aliens had sent their terms. Humanity could surrender all military technology and submit to behavioral conditioning. They would be allowed to live on Earth but never leave. They would be watched and controlled. They would be pets in a cage, or they could fight and be destroyed. Most of Earth's leaders wanted to surrender. They said it was better to live as prisoners than to die as free people. But others disagreed. They said humanity had not climbed from caves to the stars just to give up when things got hard. The arguments grew louder every day. Some countries wanted to fight. Others wanted to surrender. The unity that had built the first starships was breaking apart. Maria knew that time was running out. The alien blockade was not just a wall, it was a tightening noose. Every day they waited, the aliens grew stronger and more confident. Every day they delayed, more human colonies fell, she thought. About her daughter back on Earth, about the life she wanted to give her, about the stars she wanted to show her, about the future that was being stolen from all of humanity. The crystal being had said humans were too dangerous, too violent, too destructive. Maybe they were right. Maybe humans were all those things, but Maria was beginning to think that might not be a weakness. It might be exactly what they needed. She turned away from the window and walked to her command chair. Communications, open a channel to all human ships in the blockade zone. Channel open, Captain. This is Captain Santos to all human vessels. We've been sitting here for 3 months waiting for a miracle, but I think it's time we made our own miracle. It's time to remind the galaxy why they're so afraid of us. She looked at her crew. They were scared but determined. They were ready to fight against impossible odds. They were ready to die for freedom. They were human. All ships, prepare for combat operations. We're going home. And we're going through anyone who tries to stop us. The first battle of the human hegemony war was about to begin. But Maria Santos did not know that this small act of defiance would lead to something much bigger. Something that would change the galaxy forever. Something that would wake up a power that had been sleeping for thousands of years. A power that had been waiting for humanity to call its name. The god of war was stirring. 3 years had passed since the first human ships tried to break through the alien blockade. 3 years of defeat after defeat. 3 years of watching the galaxy's boot press down harder on humanity's throat. Captain Maria Santos was no longer in space. Her ship Defiance had been destroyed in the second month of fighting. She had survived, but barely. Now she stood in the war room, deep beneath the Pentagon. Looking at screens that showed nothing but bad news, the alien attack had come. At dawn, 12 hegemony dreadnoughts had appeared over Mars Colony Alpha without warning. The human defenders had fought bravely but uselessly. Their weapons bounced off alien shields like raindrops. The colony was ash now, 2 million people dead in less than an hour. "That makes 8 colonies lost this month," said General Marcus. Stone. He was a large man with gray hair and tired eyes. The war had aged him badly. Luna Base is reporting strange energy readings. They think the aliens are preparing to attack there too. Maria nodded but said nothing. Luna Base was home to 5 million people. It was also humanity's last major outpost beyond Earth. When it fell, humans would be trapped on their home planet like animals in a cage. "What about the defense grid?" asked Dr. Sarah Chun. She was the head of Earth's research division. A small woman with sharp eyes who had been working without sleep for weeks. "Useless," General Stone replied. "Our best plasma cannons can't even scratch their hull plating. Their shields absorb everything we throw at them. It's like fighting gods with sticks and stones." The truth was worse than General Stone admitted. Humanity had tried everything: nuclear weapons, kinetic bombardment, quantum torpedoes, biological warfare. Nothing worked. The alien technology was so advanced it might as well have been magic. The worst part was how easy it looked for them. The alien ships moved through space like they were swimming through water. They appeared and disappeared at will. They could be in orbit around Earth one moment and attacking Jupiter's moons the next. Human ships were slow and clumsy by comparison. They needed days to travel distances the aliens crossed in minutes. When human forces finally arrived at a battle, they usually found only wreckage and bodies. Dr. Chun pulled up a holographic display. "I've been analyzing the alien attack patterns. They're not trying to destroy us quickly. They're playing with us." "What do you mean?" Maria asked. "Look at this." Dr. Chun highlighted several battles on the display. In each case, they could have wiped out our forces immediately. Instead, they let some ships escape. They let some people live. They want us to suffer. They want us to lose hope. General Stone slammed his fist on the table. "Damn them. If they want to finish us, why don't they just do it?" "Because they're not just trying to defeat us," Dr. Chun said quietly. "They're trying to break us. They want humanity to surrender, to beg for mercy, to prove their point that we're too weak and violent to deserve freedom." Maria thought about the latest message from the Galactic Hegemony. It had arrived that morning. The same crystal being she remembered from 3 years ago had appeared on every screen on Earth. "Humans," the alien had said, "you have seen our power. You have felt our justice. Submit now and your suffering will end. Surrender your weapons, accept our guidance, learn to live in peace as we do." The message had played on repeat for 6 hours, every television, every computer, every communication device. The aliens could control human technology whenever they wanted. It was another reminder of how helpless humanity had become. "The President is meeting with the World Council tonight," General Stone said. "The surrender faction is getting stronger. They're saying we should accept the alien terms and live as slaves," Maria said. "Better slaves than corpses," replied General Stone, but he didn't sound like he believed it. Dr. Chun was studying something on her tablet. There might be another option. Both Maria and General Stone looked at her. "I've been researching some unusual archaeological sites, places that don't fit with our understanding of human history. Ancient ruins that show technology we shouldn't have had. Artifacts that seem to respond to human DNA in ways we can't explain." "Ancient aliens?" General Stone asked. "Come on, Sarah, we don't have time for conspiracy theories." "Not aliens," Dr. Chun said. "Something else, something older. I think there were beings on Earth long before recorded history. Beings that early humans worshipped as gods." Maria frowned. "You're talking about mythology, stories, legends, am I?" Dr. Chun pulled up new data. 3 months ago, our deep scan satellites detected massive energy readings from 12 locations around the world. Mount Olympus in Greece, Mount Fuji in Japan, the Himalayas, Uluru in Australia. All places that ancient humans considered sacred. She showed them the energy patterns. These readings are similar to alien technology but different. Older, more powerful. Even if that's true, General Stone said, what does it matter? Ancient artifacts can't help us fight starships. Maybe they can. Dr. Chun's eyes were bright with excitement. What if the old stories were true? What if beings we called gods really existed? What if they're still here, sleeping, waiting? Waiting for what? Maria asked. For us to need them? General Stone shook his head. This is insane. We're talking about mythology. 3 years ago, faster-than-light travel was mythology, Dr. Chun replied. 6 months ago, energy shields that could stop nuclear weapons were mythology. The aliens have technology that looks like magic to us. Maybe our ancestors had technology that looks like magic to us too. Before anyone could respond, alarms started blaring throughout the complex. Red lights flashed. An automated voice announced, "Incoming attack. All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill." The three of them ran to the main command center. Dozens of officers were working frantically at control stations. On the main screen, they could see the horror unfolding above. 50 alien ships had appeared in Earth's orbit. Not the outer system where most battles happened, right above the planet. They were moving slowly, deliberately, like predators stalking wounded prey. "They're targeting our major cities," reported an officer. "Beijing, New York, London, Moscow, energy weapons are charging." "What about our orbital defenses?" General Stone demanded. "Already destroyed, sir." "They took them out in the first 30 seconds?" Maria watched the alien ships positioning themselves. Each one was the size of a city. Their weapons could turn mountains to glass. There were 6 billion people on Earth with nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. "Incoming message from the alien fleet," called the communications officer. A crystal being appeared on the screen again, but this time it looked different, angry, impatient. "Humans, you have ignored our mercy for too long. You have chosen war over peace. Violence over wisdom. This ends now." The alien paused. When it spoke again, its voice was colder. "We will demonstrate our power one final time. Then you will surrender or you will die, all of you." The screen changed to show Luna Base, humanity's last major colony, home to 5 million people. The base was huge, covering hundreds of square kilometers on the moon's surface. "Watch," said the alien voice. 3 hegemony ships appeared near the moon. They were smaller than the ones orbiting Earth, but still massive. They moved into position around Luna Base like hunters surrounding a wounded animal. "No," whispered General Stone. The alien ships fired. The weapons were not explosive. They were something worse. Where the beams touched the lunar surface, everything simply ceased to exist. Buildings, vehicles, people, all gone in an instant. Not destroyed, erased. In less than 5 minutes, Luna Base was a crater. 5 million people had become nothing. The moon itself looked wounded, scarred by the alien attack. The crystal being appeared on screen again. "This is our final warning. Surrender now, or every city on Earth will share this fate. You have 1 hour to decide." The transmission ended. The command center was silent. Everyone stared at the screens showing the crater where Luna Base used to be, where 5 million humans had lived and worked and hoped for the future. "Sir," said an officer quietly, "the President is requesting an immediate response. The World Council is convening an emergency session. They want to know what our military options are." General Stone looked older than his 70 years. "Tell them we have no military options. Tell them we have no options at all." "But Doctor..." Chun was shaking her head. "No, we have one option. We have to try it." "Sarah," Maria said, "even if you're right about these ancient sites, we don't have time. 1 hour isn't enough to... Mount Olympus is only 6 hours from here by hypersonic transport, Doctor." Chun interrupted. "I've been preparing for this possibility. I have a team ready, equipment ready. We just need authorization." "Authorization for what?" General Stone asked. "To wake up the old gods." General Stone stared at her. You want to fly to Greece in the middle of an alien invasion to look for mythological beings? I want to try the one thing we haven't tried, Doctor. Chun replied. What if the stories were true? What if Ares, the god of war, really existed? What if he's still there, sleeping under Mount Olympus, waiting for humanity to call for help? And what if you're wrong? Maria asked. Then we die in 1 hour instead of dying in 6 hours? At least we die trying. General Stone looked at the screens showing the alien fleet. 50 ships ready to erase human civilization. He looked at the crater on the moon where 5 million people used to live. He looked at his officers all waiting for orders he couldn't give. Do it, he said finally. Take your team. Try your crazy plan. We'll hold things together here as long as we can. Dr. Chun was already moving toward the door. Maria, I need you with me. You're the best pilot we have. For what? To fly us into hell and wake up the god of war. As they ran through the corridors toward the transport bay, Maria wondered if they were about to save humanity or just find a more dramatic way to die. Either way, it beat sitting in a bunker waiting for the end. Above them, the alien ships waited in orbit like dark angels of judgment. The countdown to humanity's final hour had begun. But deep beneath Mount Olympus, something ancient stirred in its sleep. Something that had been waiting for this moment for thousands of years. Something that remembered what it meant to be human when humans needed a god of war. The hypersonic transport screamed through the atmosphere toward Greece. Maria gripped her seat as the aircraft shook violently. Through the small window, she could see alien ships in the distance. Dark shapes against the clouds, waiting like vultures. 30 minutes until we reach Mount Olympus, called the pilot over the engine noise. Dr. Sarah Shun was hunched over her equipment, checking readings on 3 different devices. Her team of archaeologists and quantum physicists looked terrified, but determined. They all knew this was humanity's last desperate gamble. Sarah, Maria said, tell me again what we're looking for. Dr. Chun looked up from her scanners. Ancient texts describe a chamber deep inside Mount Olympus, a place where the old gods slept when they were not needed. Most scholars thought it was just mythology, but the quantum readings suggest something else. Like what? Like a dimensional pocket? A space that exists between realities. The energy signatures are unlike anything we've seen except ... double quotes. Except what? Except the readings we get from alien technology. But older, much older. The transport suddenly lurched to one side. Through the window, Maria saw an alien scout ship passing nearby. It was beautiful and terrible, like a piece of living metal that flowed through the air. Did they see us? Asked one of the scientists. Doesn't matter, the pilot replied. We're too small and moving too fast. They probably think we're just debris. Maria hoped he was right. If the aliens realized what they were trying to do, the mission would end before it began. 10 minutes to landing site, the pilot announced. Dr. Chun activated a holographic map of Mount Olympus. The energy readings are strongest here. She pointed to a spot on the mountain's northern face. There should be an entrance, but it might be hidden. What if we can't find it? Asked Dr. Williams, one of the archaeologists. Then we dig, Dr. Chun replied. We have explosive charges. We have quantum scanners. We have 1 hour before the aliens destroy every city on Earth. We'll find a way. The transport touched down in a small clearing halfway up the mountain. As soon as the engine stopped, Maria could hear the silence. No birds, no insects. Even the wind seemed to be holding its breath. The team grabbed their equipment and began. Hiking up the rocky slope, Dr. Chung led the way, following the readings on her scanner. The device beeped faster as they climbed higher. It's definitely here, she said. The energy source is massive. It's like there's a nuclear reactor buried in the mountain. They reached a cliff face that looked like solid rock. But Dr. Chun's scanner was screaming now, the beeping so fast it was almost a continuous tone. Here, she said. It's right here. Dr. Williams ran his hands over the rock. I don't see anything, no doorway, no symbols, nothing. The texts said. It would be hidden, Dr. Chun replied. She pulled out a small device that looked like a tuning fork made of crystal. "This is a quantum resonator. If there's a dimensional pocket here, this should open it." She touched the device to the rock face and activated it. Nothing happened for a moment. Then the crystal began to glow with a pale blue light. The rock started to change. What had looked like solid stone became transparent, then disappeared entirely. Behind it was a tunnel that led down into darkness. The air that flowed out was warm and smelled like copper and old blood. "Jesus," whispered Dr. Williams. "No," said Dr. Chun quietly. "Not Jesus, something much older." Maria felt a chill that had nothing to do with the mountain air. The tunnel looked wrong somehow. Not built by human hands or alien technology. It was carved from living rock in flowing patterns that hurt to look at directly. "Sarah," Maria said, "are you sure about this?" "No, but we're out of time and out of options." Dr. Chun led the way into the tunnel. The team followed, their flashlights casting dancing shadows on the walls. The tunnel sloped downward at a steep angle, leading deep into the heart of the mountain. As they descended, Maria noticed that the walls were covered in carvings. Not Greek letters or pictures, but symbols that seemed to shift and move in the light. Looking at them made her head hurt. "How old is this place?" she asked. "The texts say it was here before the first humans built cities," Dr. Chun replied. "Before agriculture, before civilization. This place is older than human history." They walked for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber that their flashlights could not fully illuminate. The ceiling disappeared into darkness above. The floor was smooth as glass and covered in more of the shifting symbols. In the center of the chamber was a raised platform made of black stone. On the platform lay a figure. Maria's breath caught in her throat. It looked human but wrong, too tall, too perfect. The figure was wearing armor that seemed to be made of shadows and starlight. Its face was peaceful, like someone sleeping after a long battle. "Is that ... double quote," Maria began. "Ares," Dr. Chun whispered. "The god of war." They approached the platform carefully. Up close, Maria could see that the figure was breathing, slowly, barely, like someone in the deepest possible sleep. "The texts say he has been waiting," Dr. Chun said. "Waiting for humanity to need him again. Waiting for a war that would threaten everything." "How do we wake him up?" asked Dr. Williams. Dr. Chun opened her pack and pulled out several items: an ancient bronze blade, a small vial of liquid that looked like liquid fire, copies of texts, written in languages that predated written history. According to the scrolls, it requires 3 things: a weapon forged in the old way, blood freely given by a warrior, and words of summoning spoken by one who truly understands the cost of war. Maria looked at the bronze blade. It was crude compared to modern weapons, but somehow felt more real, more dangerous. "I'll do it," she said. "Maria, you don't understand. The texts say that waking Ares comes with a price. Whoever calls him becomes bound to him, connected to him. It changes you." "Into what?" "I don't know. The texts aren't clear. But they suggest that you become something more than human, and something less." Maria thought about the alien ships orbiting Earth, about the crater where Luna Base used to be, about the 6 billion people who would die in less than an hour if this didn't work. "Give me the blade." Dr. Chun hesitated, then handed it over. The bronze felt warm in Maria's hands, almost alive. Maria drew the blade across her palm. Blood welled up, bright red in the flashlight beams. She let it drip onto the sleeping figure's forehead. The reaction was immediate. The figure's eyes snapped open. They were not human eyes. They were the color of fire and storm and the space between stars. When they looked at Maria, she felt like she was falling into an infinite void. The figure sat up smoothly, like someone waking from a brief nap instead of a sleep that had lasted millennia. When it spoke, its voice was like distant thunder. "Who dares wake Ares from his rest?" Dr. Chun stepped forward with the ancient texts. Her voice shook as she read the words written in the oldest human languages. Words that hurt to speak and twisted, The air around them, we call upon the Lord of Battles, the bringer of victory and defeat. The one who knows the true face of war. Earth is threatened. Humanity faces extinction. We offer blood and service in exchange for your aid. Ares stood. He was even taller than he had looked lying down. Nearly 8 feet of muscle and controlled. Violence. His armor seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Show me," he said. Dr. Chun activated a portable hologram projector. Images filled the air around them. The alien blockade. The destroyed colonies. The ships waiting in orbit above. Ares studied the images with the intensity of a professional soldier examining a battlefield. His expression never changed, but Maria felt something radiating from him. Not anger exactly. Something colder and more focused. "Interesting," he said finally. "They call themselves peaceful, but they practice war. They claim to seek harmony, but they choose genocide. They speak of justice, but they act from fear. Can you help us?" Maria asked. Ares looked at her with those impossible eyes. "Help you? Child, I am not here to help you. I am here to teach you, to show you what you truly are." "I don't understand." "You think you are weak because your enemies have better weapons. You think you are defeated because they have better ships. You think you are lost because they have better technology." Ares smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "You are wrong about all of these things." He gestured to the images still, floating in the air. "Your enemies have forgotten what war truly is. They think it is about tools and tactics, about superior firepower and advanced shields. They have lived in peace so long they have forgotten the most important truth." "What truth?" Dr. Chun asked. "War is not about technology. War is about will, about the willingness to do whatever it takes to protect what you love, about the courage to pay any price for victory." Ares looked directly at Maria. "Your species understands this. It is written in your bones, carved into your souls. You are warriors pretending to be civilized. It is time to stop pretending." Maria felt something changing inside her. The blood connection she had made with Ares was doing something to her mind. She could feel his presence growing stronger, merging with her thoughts. "What are you doing?" "To me?" she gasped. "I am awakening what was always there," Ares replied. "Every human carries the spark of war within them, the capacity for violence when violence is needed, the willingness to fight when fighting is the only option. You have spent centuries trying to suppress this gift. Now you will learn to embrace it." The chamber began to shake. Dust fell from the ceiling. Through their communicators they could hear voices from the surface. The alien ships had found their transport. They were under attack. "We need to go," Dr. Williams said urgently. But Ares was not finished. He placed his hand on Maria's forehead. Power flowed between them like electricity, knowledge, understanding, the true nature of war itself. When he pulled his hand away, Maria was different. She could feel it in every cell of her body. Her senses were sharper, her reflexes faster, her mind clear and focused like a blade. "Now," Ares said, "let us go to war." The god of war was awake, and humanity was about to remember why the galaxy had always been afraid of them. Maria felt the change spreading through her body like fire in her veins. Her vision became sharper than any human eye should be. She could see in perfect detail through the darkness of the ancient chamber. She could hear the heartbeats of her team members. She could smell the fear and excitement radiating from them, but more than that, she could feel something else. A connection, not just to Ares, but to something larger, something that stretched across the planet and reached into space. "What did you do to me?" she asked. Ares smiled, and this time it was not cruel. It was the smile of a teacher whose student was finally beginning to understand. "I awakened the network," he said. "Every human who has ever fought for something greater than themselves. Every soldier who died protecting others. Every warrior who chose courage over safety. They are all connected, and now so are you." The chamber shook again. Through the communicators they could hear explosions from above. The alien ships had found their landing site and were attacking. We need to get out of here, Dr. Williams said frantically. No, Maria said. Her voice sounded different, stronger, more confident. We need to fight back. She could feel it now. The network Ares had spoken of. It was like a web of light connecting every human being on Earth, but most of the connections were dim, sleeping, unused, waiting. How do we do that? Dr. Chin asked. We have no weapons, no ships, no way to fight them. Ares walked to the edge of the platform. He raised his hands and spoke words in a language older than civilization. The symbols on the chamber walls began to glow with pale fire. You have the greatest weapon that has ever existed, he said. You have the human spirit. You have the will to fight when fighting seems impossible. You have the courage to stand up when everyone else falls down. The glow from the walls was getting brighter. Maria could feel power building in the chamber. Not technological power, something deeper, something that came from the hearts and souls of every human who had ever refused to surrender. But they still have better ships, Dr. Williams protested. Better weapons, better shields, do they? Ares asked. He gestured, and the air above them filled with new images. Not just the alien fleet, but detailed scans of their ships, their weapons, their technology. Look closer, Ares commanded. Maria found that she could understand the scans in ways she never could before. The alien ships were powerful, but they were also predictable, built by species that had forgotten how to adapt, how to improvise, how to change tactics in the middle of a battle. They fight like they think, she realized, like machines. They follow patterns, rules, they can't handle chaos. Exactly, Ares said. They have been at peace for 1,000 years. They have forgotten that war is not a science. It is an art. And humans are the greatest artists of war who have ever lived. The chamber filled with light. Not harsh artificial light, but something warm and alive. Maria felt the network spreading. She could sense human consciousness awakening all across the planet. Soldiers in bunkers suddenly understanding new tactics. Pilots seeing weaknesses in alien ship designs they had never noticed before. Engineers having sudden insights into technologies they could build. What's happening? Dr. Chun asked. Humanity is remembering what it really is, Ares replied. Through her new connection, Maria could see what was happening around the world in military. Bases, weapons that had been broken for months were suddenly working again. Ships that could barely fly were becoming faster and more maneuverable. Human technology was evolving in real time, but it was more than just machines. The humans themselves were changing. Reflexes becoming faster, minds becoming clearer. Fear being replaced by cold, focused determination. My God, Dr. Williams whispered. I can feel them, all of them, every human on Earth. Not God, Ares corrected. War, the oldest force in the universe. The power that shapes galaxies and destroys civilizations. The force that your enemies thought they could contain. Maria felt something calling to her through the network. A familiar presence. General Stone? His voice came through the connection as clearly as if he were standing next to her. Maria, what the hell is happening? Our systems are going crazy. Weapons are upgrading themselves. Our pilots are flying like they've had 10 years of extra training. It's working, she said. The plan is working. How much time do we have? 15 minutes until the aliens start bombing cities. But Maria, something else is happening. Our ships ... They're not the same ships they were an hour ago. Through the network, Maria could see what he meant. The human fleet that had been hiding behind the moon was moving, but they were moving in ways that should have been impossible. Ships that had been slow and clumsy were now dancing through space like fighters. Weapons that had been useless against alien shields were now cutting through them like paper. How? Dr. Chen asked. Ares gestured to the glowing walls around them. Human technology was always more advanced than you realized. You simply forgot how to use it properly. You tried to copy alien methods instead of developing your own. Now you are remembering the old ways, the human ways. Maria felt the connection, growing stronger. She could sense individual humans all across the planet. a fighter pilot over the Pacific whose reflexes had become superhuman, a weapons engineer in Russia who suddenly understood how to build guns that could punch through any armor, a tactical officer in Brazil who could see the perfect strategy to defeat the alien fleet. The network, she said. It's not just connecting us, it's making us better. It is making you what you were always meant to be, Ares replied. What you were before you learned to be afraid of your own strength. The chamber shook violently. This time it was not from explosions above, it was from something much larger. Through the network, Maria could feel the alien fleet beginning to move. They had detected the changes happening on Earth. They were afraid. They know, she said. Of course they know, Ares replied. They can feel the network awakening. They can sense their prey becoming predators. They are about to learn why their ancestors locked themselves away in peaceful corners of the galaxy. What do we do now? Dr. Williams asked. Ares looked at Maria. Now you lead, you are the connection point, the focal point of human will and determination. Through you, every human warrior who has ever lived will fight this battle. Maria felt the weight of that responsibility. 6 billion people depending on her. The entire future of humanity resting on what happened in the next few minutes, but she also felt their strength. Every human soldier who had ever charged into impossible odds. Every pilot who had flown against superior numbers. Every person who had stood up to bullies and tyrants and monsters. Tell me what to do, she said. Simple, Ares replied. Remind the galaxy why they were right to be afraid of you. Maria closed her eyes and reached out through the network. She could feel them all. Every human ship. Every human weapon. Every human heart beating with the rhythm of war. This is Commander Santos to all human forces, she said. Her voice carried not just through radio waves, but through the network itself, reaching every human consciousness simultaneously. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for the right to exist as free beings in this galaxy. Today we show our enemies what happens when you corner the most dangerous species in the universe. Through the network she felt the response. Not words, but pure emotion, determination, courage, the unbreakable human will to fight against any. All ships begin attack pattern Santos Alpha. Target their command vessels first. Show them no mercy, because they would show us none. Above Earth's orbit, the human fleet began to move, but they were no longer the same ships that had been hiding in fear. They moved with perfect coordination, each pilot connected to all the others through the network. They attacked with weapons that adapted and evolved even as they fired. The alien ships, caught off guard by the sudden change, tried to respond with their usual tactics. But their predictable patterns were useless against enemies who could anticipate their every move. First blood to us, General Stone reported through. The network, the Zephyrian flagship, is down. How is this possible? Because we stopped fighting their kind of war, Maria replied, and started fighting ours. Through the network she could see the battle unfolding in perfect detail. Human ships weaving through alien formations like wolves among sheep. Human weapons finding weaknesses that should not have existed. Human pilots performing maneuvers that defied physics. But it was not just technology, it was something deeper. The aliens had forgotten how to deal with unpredictability, how to fight an enemy that refused to follow rules, how to battle a species that saw war not as a series of moves on a chessboard, but as a dance of death where anything was possible. Second wave incoming, someone reported. 100 alien ships jumping in from the outer system. Let them come, Maria said, the more the better. She felt Ares's approval through their connection. This was what he had been waiting for. Not just humanity defending itself, but humanity embracing what it truly was. The god of war was loose upon the galaxy, and he was teaching his chosen species to remember why they had always been the most feared warriors in the universe. The real war was just beginning. 6 months after the awakening of Ares, the galaxy had become a very different place. What had started as humanity's desperate last stand had become something the galactic hegemony never expected. Total war on a scale they could not comprehend, Maria. Santos stood on the bridge of the Vengeance, humanity's new flagship, but it was not really a ship anymore. It was something that existed between dimensions, powered by the collective will of every human warrior who had ever lived. Through the network, she could see across dozens of star systems where human forces were fighting. They were winning. "Status report," she commanded. Her voice carried through the network to every human ship in the galaxy. There were thousands of them now. Ships that had been built in weeks rather than years. Ships that improved themselves during battle. Ships that learned from every encounter. "Zephyrian home system is under siege," reported Captain Chun from the assault fleet. "Their crystal cities are shattering under our gravity hammers. Estimated time to complete victory, 6 hours. Nexari hive worlds are falling," came another voice through the network. "The queen minds are going insane. They can't handle fighting individual humans instead of unified groups. They're tearing themselves apart trying to process our tactics." "Hegemony. Council World Kepler 438 has surrendered," reported Admiral Park. "They're begging for mercy. They want to negotiate." "No negotiations," Maria said coldly. "They had their chance for mercy 3 years ago. They chose war instead." Through the network, she felt the approval of millions of human warriors. The aliens had shown no mercy when humanity was weak. They would receive none now that humanity was strong. The transformation had been total. Every human ship was connected to the network. Every human soldier could fight with the skill of ancient champions. Every human weapon adapted and evolved to meet any threat, but more than that, humanity itself had changed. They no longer fought like the species the aliens remembered. They fought like something new. Something that had been sleeping in human genes since the beginning of time. "Maria," came a familiar voice through the network. It was Ares speaking from wherever gods lived when they were not walking among mortals. "The final phase begins now." "What do you mean?" "The hegemony has one last gambit. They are calling together every ship they have, every weapon, every ally. They plan to make a final stand at the galactic core." Through the network, Maria could sense it. Thousands of alien ships gathering around the massive black hole at the center of the galaxy. Ships from all 12 hegemony species. Ancient vessels pulled out of mothballs. Experimental weapons that had never been tested. "How many?" she asked. 10,000 ships? Maybe more? They are going to try to destroy the black hole itself. Create a galaxy-wide catastrophe that will kill everyone, including themselves, rather than let humans spread to the stars. Maria felt a cold anger settle in her chest. It was not just her anger. It was the rage of every human who had ever been told they were not good enough, not civilized enough, not worthy of freedom. "Then we stop them," she said. "It will not be easy. They have weapons that can unmake reality itself. Technology that can rewrite the laws of physics. They are desperate, and desperate enemies are the most dangerous. Are you afraid?" Maria asked. Ares laughed, and the sound carried through the network to every human consciousness. "Afraid? Child, this is what I've been waiting for. The greatest battle in the history of the galaxy. A war that will be remembered until the stars die." Maria opened the network fully, connecting to every human ship, every human soldier, every human settlement across the galaxy. 6 billion voices joined as one. "This is Commander Santos to all human forces. The enemy has gathered for their final stand. They think they can frighten us with superior numbers. They think they can break us with ancient weapons. They are wrong." She felt the response through the network. Not fear, but excitement. Humans were not afraid of impossible odds. They live for them. Today we finish what they started 3 years ago. Today we prove that humanity deserves its place among the stars, not because we are peaceful, but because we are strong. Not because we are civilized, but because we are free. The human fleet began to move. Not just the ships near Earth, but vessels from across the galaxy. They came from conquered alien worlds where human marines had planted flags. They came from asteroid bases where human engineers had built weapons of impossible power. They came from the edge of space where human explorers had found things the aliens had forgotten. The journey to the galactic core took 3 days. 3 days of building tension as the largest fleet in human history assembled. Ships that looked like they had been forged from starlight and shadow. Weapons that could crack planets. Soldiers whose reflexes had been enhanced beyond anything evolution intended. When they arrived at the galactic core, the sight took Maria's breath away. The alien fleet was massive beyond description. Ships the size of small moons. Energy fields that bent space itself. Weapons platforms that glowed with the power of captured. Stars. At the center of it all was the black hole. A point of absolute darkness that devoured light itself. The aliens had built a ring of massive machines around it. Devices that pulsed with unnatural energy. What are those? Maria asked. Through the network, Ares answered. Reality bombs. They plan to overload the black hole's gravity field. Turn it into a weapon that will tear apart space and time itself. They would rather destroy the galaxy than let humans inherit it. How long do we have? 1 hour before the machines reach critical mass. After that, nothing in the galaxy will survive. Maria studied the alien formation. 10,000 ships arranged, in perfect defensive patterns. Every weapon trained on the approach routes. Every shield layered for maximum protection. It should have been impossible to break through. Any sane military commander would have looked for another way. But Maria was no longer entirely sane. None of them were. The network had changed them into something beyond human, but not less than human. All ships, she commanded. Attack pattern Omega, full assault, no retreat, no surrender. Today we either win everything or lose everything. The human fleet charged. What followed was not a battle in any conventional sense. It was a collision between two different philosophies of war. The aliens fought with precision and overwhelming firepower. Massive weapons that could destroy entire fleets with single shots. Shields that could absorb the energy of supernovas, but humans fought with something the aliens could not counter. Creativity, unpredictability, the willingness to try tactics that had never been used before. Human ships dove straight through alien formations, using gravity fields to slingshot around larger vessels. Human weapons adapted in real time, finding new ways to penetrate shields that should have been impenetrable. Human pilots performed maneuvers that defied physics, using the network to coordinate movements no individual could execute alone. Breakthrough. On Vector 7, reported Captain Williams. Human Marines are boarding the Nexari Queen ship. Vector 12 is clear, came another voice, moving to assault the reality bomb controls. But the aliens were not defenseless. Their weapons began to take a terrible toll. Human ships died by the dozens, then by the hundreds. For every alien vessel destroyed, humanity lost 3 of its own. We're not going to make it, someone said through the network. There are too many of them. Yes, we are, Maria replied. But she was not sure if she believed it. Through the network, she felt Ares gathering power. Not just his own power, but the strength of every human who had ever fought for something greater than themselves. Every soldier who had died protecting others, every warrior who had chosen duty over safety. One last gift, Ares said, the final lesson of war. Power flowed through the network like lightning. Every human ship suddenly became faster, stronger, more lethal. Every human weapon gained the power to cut through any defense. Every human soldier gained the reflexes of gods, but more than that, they gained something else. Unity. Perfect coordination. 6 billion human minds, working as one while still remaining individual. The tide of battle turned. Human ships that had been struggling now cut through alien formations like blades through paper. Human weapons that had been barely effective now punched holes through ships the size of cities. Human marines that had been pinned down now fought with the skill of ancient legends. Reality Bomb Control Center is ours, reported the assault team. Shutting down the machines now. Hegemony command ship is destroyed. came another voice. "The crystal being who started this war is dead." One by one the alien ships fell. Not destroyed, but broken. Crews surrendering or fleeing in escape pods. Entire fleets simply giving up when they realized the futility of fighting an enemy that refused to follow the rules of warfare when the battle ended. Less than 100 alien ships remained. They hung in space like broken toys, their crews too shocked to fight and too afraid to run. Maria opened a communication channel to all of them. "This is Commander Maria Santos of the Human Empire. You came to our solar system 3 years ago and told us we were too dangerous to be allowed among the stars. You said we were too violent, too aggressive, too willing to fight." She paused, looking at the wreckage of what had been the largest fleet in galactic history. "You were right. We are dangerous, we are violent, we are aggressive. And when someone tries to cage us, we break free and destroy everything that stands in our way." Through the network she felt the approval of Ares and the spirits of every human warrior who had ever lived. "But here is what you never understood. We are not dangerous because we enjoy violence. We are dangerous because we will do anything to protect our freedom. Because we will pay any price to defend those we love. Because we will never stop fighting as long as there is something worth fighting for." The alien ships began to flee, jumping to hyperspace in desperate attempts to escape. But Maria knew they would carry the message to every corner of the galaxy. Humanity had tried to join the galactic community in peace. When that was refused, they had taken their place by force. The galaxy now belonged to the species that had unleashed. The god of war, and Ares smiled as he watched his children claim their inheritance among the stars. The human empire had begun.